This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Talk to me nice. Ain't about winning, don't talk to me twice. I don't play dice. I'll make a move on the board, it's precise. The fuck is the price? I took a fiddle and dipped in the ice. I took a call and now I'm on a flight. Crew heading east, got a booking tonight. First stop is Atlanta. I got breakfast plans at the Waffle House. Next up is Miami. I'm in South Beach. Fuck we talking about? Show out, we in Brooklyn. I'm on Flatbush and we rocking out. Then a red eye to Los Angeles. Got a rich bitch waiting on the couch. Life's gonna try to hold you back. They gon' tell you that you still got time. Any minute this could all fade to black. That's why we run it up. I want more, it's not enough. I ain't comfort to run it up. I go win or win a cup.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know that matters, especially on a Freeform Friday, that, it doesn't matter who's sitting here or there or doing it remote or whatever the hell's going on. Anyways, today's Friday, March the 24th of 2023, day numero 83 of the year. That's 83 just in case of the year, and only 282 days left to go. So there you go. The countdown continues as we are doing our thing. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
Radio.
Oh, yes, the friends at Radio Big. Yes, they're so important as we get to hang out. So, how have you been? What have you done? And are you excited that it is Friday? Because if you're super excited that it's Friday, you might want to reconsider what you're doing Monday through Thursday, because you really should be excited about every day of the week. I mean, I look at this thing, I am so honored to be able to hang out with you, Monday through Friday. Well, most of the times when I am here, in regards of doing the stuff that we do, because that's the cool part about this, is that you kind of say, this is what I want. We kind of change and we do things and move forward. So that's the way that it goes. Anyways, if you want to take a look at the visual side of the show, you can do that relatively easy by going to safetyfm.com and clicking on visual radio. You can go to radiobig.fm and click on visual radio, or you can keep it 100 and just listen to the apps, and that's perfectly fine as well. And all you have to do there is go to the following. Go to the Apple Store, to the Apple App Store, or go to the Google Play Store. Look for radiobig.fm, or you can look for iHeartRadio, and you can stream us right there. Or you can do the Safety FM app. And we do have a Radio Big app as well. So there you go. Some different things to do. And then if you want to interact and talk to us here on the show, you can do that by going to Call In Radio. You'll see all three options that are there that are going on. So anyways, with that being said, if you're not familiar with the show, it's kind of a simple process. We talk about safety in the news and safety. And on Fridays, where it's freeform, we just kind of talk a little bit about everything and anything and go, wow, why did we wait all week to get to this? So with that being said, let's start talking right away about the things that were trending in the overnight and what's on tap.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so locals in Texas are voicing their concerns about Elon Musk's rural takeover, and parents in Florida lose their minds over nudity in the classroom, but not the kind that's making headlines. We'll talk about that. Any decision to indict Trump will wait at least a week. We can talk about that if we decide to get a little bit more swampy. Tom Brady posts a poem about success one day after ex-wife Gisele Bündchen opens up about their marriage and divorce, and Justin Timberlake is aging like a fine wine. They wrote that. I didn't say that. But anyways, and Ariana Madix lands the movie role, and Anderson Cooper gets another primetime spot on CNN. So we'll talk about all that stuff. Anyways, the cool side about this is that we have some professional broadcasters that come in and talk about all the shit that's going on inside of the world. So you get to sit back, hang out, listen to what's going on inside of the world and pop culture, and then we'll get you moving. Isn't that cool? So let's go ahead and start doing that right away. We're going to bring in the pros. They're going to tell you what's going on, and we will say, c'est la vie.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. Former President Trump is kicking off his 2024 presidential campaign Saturday in a city where a standoff took place exactly 30 years ago between a religious cult and U.S. government agencies. Trump's selection of Waco, Texas, has brought speculation from both opponents and supporters that the city was chosen for the standoff's anti-government symbolism. The Branch Davidians ended a 51-day standoff against the FBI and ATF during early spring 1993 by setting fire to their compound. The fire claimed the life of cult leader David Koresh and all 76 living in the compound, including children. A Trump spokesperson says Waco was chosen for the rally because it's close to all four of Texas' biggest metropolitan areas. One Republican lawmaker took it to the CEO of TikTok.
You damn well know that you cannot protect the data and security of this committee or the 150 million users of your app, because it is an extension of the CCP.
Kamak of Florida made that remark while addressing CEO Shou Chew. The committee focused on concerns about the app's data privacy, protections for kids, and TikTok's connection to the Chinese Communist Party. Chew discussed the company's effort to move all U.S. data to domestic servers. He added China has never asked for the data. Anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. are at an all-time high. That's according to the Anti-Defamation League's annual report, which was released Thursday. Trey Thomas has more.
More than 3,600 incidents of harassment, vandalism, and assault targeting Jewish people and communities were tracked in 2022. It's the highest number ever recorded since the ADL began collecting data in the late 1970s. I'm Trey Thomas.
And Tom Brady is moving on to his next venture. The 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback has acquired an ownership interest in the WNBA's Las Vegas Aces. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Don't cut the Pentagon's budget. That's the message from the nation's defense secretary and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff delivered to a House committee.
All these programs would have to get cut back, and that's unfortunate.
General Mark Milley specifically cited a cut in military readiness should lawmakers slash the budget. Lloyd Austin added cyber threats are a big deal and dealing with them would be impacted by potential cuts. The warning comes as Congress will eventually have to deal with the issue of raising the nation's debt ceiling. President Biden is north of the border. He arrived in Ottawa, Canada Thursday ahead of Friday's scheduled bilateral meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Biden plans to affirm his administration's commitment to the U.S.-Canada partnership. The two leaders are expected to discuss support for Ukraine as Russia's invasion drags on, clean energy, supply chains, modernizing NORAD, and grappling with a new wave of violence threatening Haiti are expected to be among the other topics of discussion. Biden last visited Canada in 2016 when he was vice president. Utah Governor Spencer Cox has signed a landmark bill that requires teens get parental permission before joining social media sites. Brian Shook reports.
The law signed Thursday will impose a digital curfew blocking sites for minors past 10:30 p.m. It'll also black out ads for underage accounts and compel social media companies to allow parents access to their children's profiles. Lawmakers say the bill is vital to protect a generation of kids suffering from a mental health crisis. Critics leveled concerns of safety and privacy and say many of the guidelines are too hard to enforce. I'm Brian Shook.
And Disney World workers are celebrating a victory. Walt Disney World and the Services Trade Council Union agreed to a new contract yesterday. The union's 45,000 members will get raises of at least $3 an hour this year. That'll raise the starting hourly wage to $18 an hour. By 2026, it'll be $20 an hour. The union's members will vote on Wednesday to ratify the contract. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
As your safety stream old, stale, and hackney, safety trainers still preaching a warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Polzel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Always replicated, but never duplicated. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 14 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out inside of this lovely multiverse of ours, because that's exactly what is going on. So let's talk real quick about the things that are coming across the shit list as we talk about it daily. Yes, that is a daily interaction as we are talking here. So take a listen to this. Rural Texans are expressing their concerns over Elon Musk's expansive development plans for his companies, plural, and even eventually his own city. Local farmers at Bastrop County say that Musk plans to build a wastewater plant for his boring company, and SpaceX would turn waste product into water for fields or get discharged into the nearby Colorado River, could run afoul environment regulations. There's also a general concern that locals just want the area to remain underdeveloped. So there you go. Or undeveloped altogether. For what it's worth, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality says their analysis of plans for Musk wastewater project show minimal impact to the local environment. So there you go. But then again, believe me, Texas loves the man in regards to what he's doing there. So there you go. Anyways, on one side of the gender identity taught at schools argument, parents sensibly say that the kids shouldn't be exposed to books about self-pleasure and cross-dressing. On another side, parents of 11 and 12-year-olds at a Tallahassee high school. Hold on. A parent of 11 and 12-year-olds in a Tallahassee high school. Hold on. Why are 11 and 12-year-olds in 11 and 12-year-olds? Why are they in high school? Anyways, got the principal fired because students saw pictures of Michelangelo's David statue in which he famously was nude and called for the image to be as pornographic. They said that their children were upset by the image. Principals Hope Carrasquilla of the Tallahassee Classical School declined to resign and was instead fired over the issue. Worth noting, the image appeared in a course especially about the Renaissance art. Also worth noting, the Tallahassee Classical School website says that the institution offers a content-rich classical education in a liberal arts and sciences, which instructions in the principle of moral character and virtue. Worth asking, is there really no more middle ground on this topic like this? I mean, I would love to understand this a little bit better because you know, it's going to be a little confusing for some.
You are listening to a Radio God. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a Radio God. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, police responding to a call about unresponsive roommate in Pennsylvania found not only the man's body, but nearly 200 snakes, a lizard, and even a crocodile. About half of the snakes were venomous, and which authorities seized, along with the lizard and the croc, who were taken to a nearby exotic pet storage facility. And it gets weirder. The creepy crawler's house of horrors is occupied by 4 adults and a 3-year-old, all whom recently moved to the area from out of the state. 2 of them ran a business selling reptiles from their home. Well, and that came via WTAE, so just so you know. I don't know. Where did the creepy crawlers come from, and how the hell did you have so many? And we found the body of the non-responsive person, but can we get a little bit more data here? Because, I think it might be important on what the hell was going on. That's for sure, as we are talking. Anyway, stoners in Missouri are getting a tough lesson in supply and demand. The state legalized recreational pot just a few weeks ago, but shortage of the ganja has sent legal dispensaries prices soaring. At the local station KCTV, yes, that's KCTV, points out that the blunt pack that used to cost $35, a coil costs you closer to $50 or $60 now. Overall prices have increased up by 60%. Officials say that their anticipated demand that didn't factor the residents in the bordering state where use remains illegal to flood Missouri to buy some dope. This came via Casey TV. So there you go. I don't know where you live. And I don't know, as you take a listen to this, if you are a marijuana user, medicinally, recreationally, or any of that other bullshit. But taking a look at this, if this was something that you were into and it was illegal in your state and you lived in a bordering state, would you give consideration to go over there to smoke some tote and then come back? Because that's the other thing. Legally, you can't bring the shit over the state line because it'll become a main issue if it's illegal in the state that you're in. So some stuff to think about. Anyways, this one was pretty interesting. I had a friend call me about this one yesterday, but I'll give it to you via the news report. But take a listen. The pilot of the Southwest flight from Las Vegas to Columbus, Ohio, required some unspecified medical attention during the route on Wednesday, and by some miracle, an off-duty pilot happened to be on board. People on the flight say that the whole ordeal was calm and that the flight staff did a good job on minimizing concerns that the pilot was incapacitated. He supported the co-pilot with a radio communication. No word yet on how the original pilot is faring or what even happened. So think about this. You're on a flight. The pilot goes, bloop, and he's out. The co-pilot doesn't really kind of take over, but somebody else that is miraculously, because that's the way you have to say it, that's on the plane jumps in and takes over. Man, is that a thought? Think about that for a moment. So let's talk real quick. I don't know what you have planned for this weekend, but I got a couple, I got a few. I should say it that way. I have a few movies that are coming out on the video on demand services if you want to take a look at some of those. So new to Amazon Prime will be Top Gun Maverick. And then new to Hulu is Philomena in the Estate. That's all the movies we were able to pull. So there you go. Take a listen to this real quick. The grand jury hearing of the case that indicted former President Donald Trump won't make any final decisions until next week. Their group convened on Thursday, but apparently for some other case entirely, and they're not expected to meet at all on Friday. Worth noting, even if the grand jury moves forward with an indictment, it must first be unsealed by the judge. So there you go. We'll have to take a look at that, at what is going on with that. Anyways, with that being said, with it being Freeform Friday and 22 minutes past the top of the hour, I think it's a good time. Yes, it's a good time to bring some John Smalls inside of here and let him tell us about what the hell's going on with the market.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Friday, March 24th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets tried to rebound Thursday following Wednesday's Fed-induced rebound, but the takeaway for investors is failure. The S&P 500 advanced more than 1% at the high of the day, only to meet with resistance and give up the gains by the end of the day. The index closed with gains, but the candle formed is black and confirms resistance at the short-term moving average. If the index cannot close above the short-term moving average today, it could lead to intensified selling next week. Next week could be another tough one for investors. The economic calendar is light, but includes the PCE price index on Friday. The latest CPI index shows a cooling of inflation, but not a decline, which may be a repeat in the PCE data. The caveat is that the PCE data is expected to be hot and confirm the need for high interest rates, if not higher interest rates. You can get the inside track in your inbox at marketbeatminute.com.
Oh, you know how it is. John Smalls always keeping it 100 with what the hell's going on out there. Here's what I was able to find yesterday, or better saying this morning, in regards of what was going on in the market yesterday. The Dow added about 75 points to close at 32,105 on Thursday. The S&P added about 11 points to close at 3,948, and NASDAQ added about 117 points to close at 11,787. West Texas Intermediate closed at $69 a barrel, and Brent crude closed at $75 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.43 on Thursday. Bitcoin was volatile and volatility continued on Thursday and increasing by 3.75% and trading just over $28,300. Yes, $28,300. And there was, are you ready for this? More than 4,260 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Thursday, and more than 68 cancellations. So let's see. Tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for $302 million jackpot or $159.8 million cash payout. Saturday night's Powerball drawing will be for $112 million jackpot or a $60.3 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you can do so because there are some opportunities out there to play. Okay, so take a listen to this. A top South Carolina official is resigning over years-long accounting scandal. Comptroller General Richard Ekstrom had delivered his resignation letter to Governor Henry McMaster on Thursday. McMaster shared his reaction.
Richard Ekstrom has worked hard. He's tedious. He's studied. He's an honest man, and he has worked hard. And I accepted his resignation this morning.
The state senator were getting ready to force him out of office, or force him from office. The lawmakers want Ekstrom gone because there is $3.5 billion in financial reporting blunders his office failed for years to fix. Ekstrom will resign on April the 30th from the office that he's held for over 20 years. South Carolina Governor reads part of his response letter after the Comptroller General Richard Ekstrom formally resigned.
The Ekstrom and McMaster families have been dear friends for decades. I know that your every wish has been and always will be prosperity and happiness for the people of South Carolina.
Well, hold on. Prosperity and happiness for the people of South Carolina, and you have a $3.5 billion blunder. I need to understand that. I need to have a better understanding of what the hell's going on. Because listen, I don't know where the hell you work, but if there was a $3.5 billion blunder and somebody resigned, there's probably going to be tons of questions. I'm just throwing that out there.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, the EF1 tornado that touched down in Los Angeles area on Wednesday morning caused an estimated $7 million in damages. The Montebello business owners is still trying to process what happened.
You cannot even imagine that can happen to you. You can see it on TV, you can see it on the movies, so you can see whatever. But when you have it on your face and your nose, when you have it right in front of you, it's something that you cannot even explain.
Now, all you have to do is live in Texas if you want to see tornadoes, because there was a shitload of them when I was a child. That happened all the time, it seemed like. Anyways, a nearby seafood distribution business lost part of its roof. The rain got in, ruining the product. The owner believes that he's facing $3 to $4 million in damages. The man also suffered a gash on his neck and several cuts on his body from flying debris. 17 structures, most of them industrial buildings, were damaged, and 11 of them were ruled unsafe to occupy. The tornado lasted about 2 to 3 minutes and had 110 mile per hour winds. So there you go. Not something you really expect to hear coming out of Cali Alley. That's for sure. Anyways, a Colorado dentist is charged with first-degree murder in his wife's poisoning death. NBC's Miguel Almaguer, is what it sounds like, has more details.
Police say he searched top 5 undetectable poisons that show no signs of foul play and is arsenic detectable in autopsy.
Have you never heard of a VPN? Okay, I'm just joking as I say that. Anyways, according to court documents, James Craig ordered both arsenic and potassium cyanide online, having it delivered to his dental practice. He was formally charged on Thursday in suburban Denver courtroom. The 45-year-old dentist is accused of killing his wife of 23 years, Angela Craig, by lacing her protein shakes with arsenic and cyanide. The mother of 6 was pronounced brain dead last Saturday, 3 days after going into the hospital and complaining about severe headaches and dizziness. Prosecutor says that James Craig killed his wife to work on starting a new life with another woman. Legal analyst Danny Savaggio says that prosecutors' knowledge of James Craig's alleged affair has a significant weight on the case.
Whenever a defendant is accused of killing his or her spouse, evidence of an extramarital affair will always be relevant.
I got a question for you. I mean, a couple of different things. Number one, how dumb are you if you decide to buy arsenic and potassium cyanide online that you pay with a version of being able to track it? That's number one. And number two, have you never heard of the fucking word called divorce? Because that's going to be another question right there. I mean, what the hell is going on? You don't have to kill your spouse. I mean, I know divorce is not always the best option, but it's a hell of a better option than going out and trying to kill somebody that you don't want to be with.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
I know. Some passion sometimes in regards to the things that we're talking about. Anyways, an ambulance dragged a Jeep SUV 2 miles through Detroit after the Jeep driver rammed the back of it several times during a mental health crisis. Many told dispatchers that earlier this week there was about they were south of 8 Mile and heading to the Detroit Police Department in the 11th precinct.
And they are continuously pushing us right now. We're still south on Kona. We just passed 7 Mile now.
The Jeep hit the back of the ambulance at least 8 times. The audio from the call of the EMS dispatchers after the Jeep rammed the ambulance.
I don't know if they're attached to our bumper or not, but they keep pushing us. We're pulling up.
Medic 15, your exact location.
We're out front. We can't turn in the driveway here. The car is just on us on the backside and won't allow us to turn in.
So there you go. Little strange stuff going on there for sure as we are talking. Anyways, the death of a South Carolina teenager in 2015 is now considered a homicide. Investigation shows that, let's see if I don't butcher this name, Murdoch. Yeah, Murdoch, but that's not the way that it looks. Family name came up with multiple times. NBC's Caddy Beck reports that South Carolina Law Enforcement Division is shifting the focus on Stephen Smith's case after resolving the Murdoch family one.
SLED investigators are making it a top priority. They say the case is ongoing, active, and designated a homicide. They say they're going to be dedicating new detectives, new resources to solving this crime.
Smith's body was discovered in the middle of the road 15 miles from the South Carolina home of Alex Murdoch. The coroner initially ruled at the time that Smith died by a hit and run, but investigators began looking into the case after Paul and Maggie Murdoch were killed just under 2 years ago. The Bland Richard law firm revealed yesterday that the SLED is looking into Smith's death as a homicide as the state moves closer to exhuming his body. NBC's Caddy Beck says that Stephen Smith's mother has always advocated that his death was a homicide and not a hit and run.
She wants an independent review and has hired an attorney to petition a judge to get an exhumation of Stephen Smith's body and a new independent autopsy conducted.
Okay, so there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. I don't know what you think, but it's going to definitely be an interesting one to take a look at.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in Hong Kong, I'm Richard Kimber. India's political opposition party says it plans to mount a legal challenge against a criminal defamation conviction against its leader, Rahul Gandhi. He's been sentenced to 2 years in prison over allegations that in 2019 he referred to Prime Minister Narendra Modi as a thief. Neha Punia has more from New Delhi.
The sentence has been suspended for 30 days, so they have that much time to move ahead with this appeal. But we're given to understand they will do this sooner rather than later, primarily because questions are being asked about what happens to Rahul Gandhi's status as a member of parliament. A conviction in a defamation case doesn't necessarily lead to disqualification, but the jail term awarded here, which is 2 years, and this is the maximum sentence that can be given to anyone in a criminal defamation case, and such a long sentence is extremely rare. The Congress party has also said that the entire hearing in this case was flawed. Many legal experts have agreed because they say that for criminal defamation to work, the person who has allegedly been injured or defamed must be party to the suit. In this case, Mr. Modi was not.
North Korean state media says the country is testing a new nuclear-capable underwater attack drone with the ability to generate a radioactive tsunami. Analysts say it's designed to show North Korea has different means of launching a potential nuclear attack. Patrick Fock reports.
It's been dubbed Hael, meaning tsunami, and can make sneak attacks in enemy waters. According to North Korean state news agency KCNA, the drone can target naval strike groups as well as major operational ports by creating a super-scale radioactive wave. It's said that the drone cruised underwater at a depth of between 80 to 150 meters for 59 hours before detonating in waters off the country's east coast on Thursday. Leader Kim Jong-un is said to have overseen the test, and analysts say it's meant to show North Korea has many different means of nuclear attack. It comes just after the US docked an amphibious assault ship in the South Korean port of Busan as part of joint drills between the allies, seen as a preparation for an invasion of the north by Pyongyang. Patrick Fock, Tokyo.
And China is urging the US to stop all forms of interaction with Taiwan. The call comes ahead of speculation that Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen may be set to meet US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California next week. Beijing says Taiwan is an inseparable part of China and that any exchanges with the US violate China's sovereignty. Media reports say Taiwan's president may be set to meet the US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy while on her way to meet the leaders of Guatemala and Belize. They are two of only 14 countries which maintain formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan. Her trip to Central America follows a move by neighbouring Central American country Honduras to seek diplomatic ties with Beijing instead. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at what happens next to the Metropolitan Police in London after the publication of a damning and extensive investigation into the force. Louise Casey was commissioned to write the report by the world-famous Met after one of its officers was found to have abducted Sarah Everard from a London street before raping and murdering her. The investigation finds that the force is institutionally racist, misogynistic and homophobic. It's deep-set rot accompanied by evaporating public confidence in it. So what happens next? Danny Shaw is a former Home Affairs correspondent for the BBC and a crime and justice commentator.
They have set up a review into misconduct processes. That is something that is already in train. I personally think that, Louise Casey hints at it. She says, if in 2 to 5 years there's no sufficient progress, then you have to look at a radical revamp. I actually think that someone should be tasked with drawing up a plan to reorganise the Met and to reshape it now so that it's ready to implement if there isn't sufficient progress in 2 to 5 years. Otherwise, we'll be back here talking about it and there'll be another review and another report and it'll take more and more years.
The British government has rejected some of the report's findings, saying it retains confidence in the force's leadership to resolve the problems that plague it. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. India's political opposition party says it plans to mount a legal challenge against a conviction for defamation against its leader, Rahul Gandhi. North Korean state media says the country is testing a new nuclear-capable underwater attack drone with the ability to generate a radioactive tsunami. And China is urging the US to stop all forms of interaction with Taiwan, ahead of speculation Taiwan's president may be set to meet US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California next week. And that's the latest feature story news. Richard Kimber reporting.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking the truth.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you going to do? You're going to go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud Ann. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
I make a move on the board, it's precise. The fuck is the price? I took a fiddle and dick in the ice. I took a call and now I'm on a flight. Crew heading east, got a booking tonight. First stop is Atlanta. I got breakfast plans at the Waffle House. Next up is Miami. I'm in the South Beach. What we talking about? Show out, we in Brooklyn. I'm on Flatbush and we rocking out. Then a red eye to Los Angeles. Got a rich bitch waiting on the couch. Life's gonna try to hold you back. They gonna tell you that you still got time. Any minute this could all fade to black. That's why we run it up.
Okay, there you go. Still the Rated R Safety Show. 43 minutes past the top of the hour.
Run it up, run it up, run it up. Run it up, run it back.
Yeah, this one right here, you can give it a little streamy-emy. YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify. This is Running Up by Klajon. You know, we play it all around here. We definitely do. Thanks to Klajon for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. You know, if you can support some of these artists that actually allow us to play some of this stuff.
They gonna tell you that you still.
So thanks, Klajon, for that one. Let's get moving and grooving.
That's right,
So there you go. There you go. Let's get moving and grooving to what we have going on inside of the world here. Anyways, let's start talking about the most important thing that I will tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and or your loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org, or call. Yes, or call 988. I almost called it an 800 number, but I know better. It's 988 in the U.S., or text the word TALK to 988. Listen, we all go through struggles sometimes. It might not be you, it might be somebody else, but listen, we all have issues, and having this information could be vital to what is going on inside of your world or the world of other people. So, 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org. Okay? There you go. So, it's such an important number, and if you can keep it memorized, 988, it'll take you places. Let's get into some news on some things that are going on. So if you are not doing the video on demand services this week and you say, hey, Jay, I really want to go to the movies. So let's talk about it. John Wick Chapter 4 is released today. John Wick uncovers the path of defeating the High Table. But before he can earn his freedom, he must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances and forces that turn old friends into foes. So there you go. That's coming out today. And then the other one, The Lost King, the true story of the amateur historian who believes that he has found the lost burial site of King Richard III. She takes on Britain's most eminent historian, forcing them to rethink the legacy of one of the most controversial rulers in English history. So those are the two movies that come out today. So there you go if you want to take a look at it. So I don't know, but that is what's going on inside of the world. Anyways, let's talk about some of the world of the news I can't even say it. News of the weird. World news that's kind of weird. Take a listen to this. A driver from New York State who was caught going nearly double the limit in Ontario told the police that they didn't realize the speed signs weren't posted in miles per hour. Ontario Provincial Police say that the driver was pulled over in Niagara Falls, about a 10-minute drive from the border crossing. The speed limit is in the area 80 kilometers per hour. The 52-year-old driver was allegedly caught going 142 kilometers per hour, but aren't buying his I don't know Canada metric excuse, because if you convert 142 kilometers per hour to miles per hour, he was going 90 miles per hour. Actually, for him, it's about a 3-minute drive from the border. So there you go. Let's just make sure that we have a clear understanding there. So let's do some of this because we got some things that we need to do here. So let's do Motivation Minute and get that rolling right away for you because, hey, listen, John has some important stuff to tell you before we get into the weekend. So take a listen.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Sean. C.S. Lewis said, "You're never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." When I was a kid, there was an actor who was making movies in his 90s, George Burns. He could have retired, but instead, he kept doing what he loved to do. And I have a friend who had the chance to work with George Burns making the movie 18 Again. It's a great movie, and our friend said George Burns was one of the kindest people he ever worked with. He was generous with his time, and he poured himself into our friend Charlie to help him grow as an actor. When Charlie speaks about his time working with George Burns, he lights up still today, over 35 years later. You're never too old to set goals or to help others meet their goals. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alessamorgan.com. When we are working on specific goals, often these goals are looked at through a series of actions. As in order to achieve X, I have to do Y. What's worth considering is looking at goal achievement through systems instead of actions. These systems tend to have a much larger impact on us compared to isolated activities, as they encompass habits, creating a certain environment for goal achievement, and preparing us for a task way ahead of when it's scheduled. Another advantage of focusing on systems is because they may, to some extent, change our identity, where instead of running on autopilot while making decisions, we start approaching decision-making from a new perspective. An example of that can be asking yourself, what would a healthy person do, instead of giving in to old habits. For more information on wellness, check out alessamorgan.com.
Hello, I'm Richard Exley with your 1-minute devotion. In her book, The Broken Way, Ann Voskamp writes, quote, "Believers in Christ are seen by God exactly as Christ is seen by God. I am crucified with Christ, identified with Christ. I am who he is. I am chosen, accepted, justified, anointed, sealed, forgiven, redeemed, complete, free, Christ's friend, God's child, Spirit's home." Colossians 3:3 says, "Your life is now hidden with Christ in God." Lord, help us to trust only in Christ and him alone. Amen. If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at oneminutedevotion.com.
We're rocking all day at work because we don't give a duck. Autocorrect probably just saved my ass there. Like I give a flying, you know.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, helping the society with the pitfalls. That's what we do around here, so there you go. Let's talk a little bit more about what is going on inside of the world of, the things that are going on around here. Because, listen, we talk a little bit about everything, so why would we not do that right now? Anyways, the U.S. and Canada are expected to announce an agreement to turn away asylum seekers who cross the border illegally. Take a listen to what Mark Mayfield has to say.
On Thursday, U.S. officials confirmed that President Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will likely make the agreement public on Friday. A bilateral meeting is being held in Ottawa, where migration will be the main topic of discussion between Biden and Trudeau. The deal would apply to those without U.S. or Canadian citizenship who are caught within 14 days of crossing the U.S.-Canada border. Illegal crossings between the two countries have climbed to record high levels. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for that one. Take a listen to this. The Florida State chapter of the NAACP wants a group for the National Board to issue a tribal advisory against visiting the Sunshine State because of recent litigation related to race and diversity. Governor Ron DeSantis says he doubts it will be very effective.
During COVID, these people would be on CNN, all this stuff, slamming Florida, saying we were so bad, don't go to Florida. And then they would end up being spotted on the beach somewhere, vacationing in Florida. So this is just ridiculous. I mean...
The the NAACP also expressed concerns about the proposed 6-week abortion ban and bills that would place restriction on the use of preferred pronouns at school. So there you go. That's what's going on inside of what's going on inside of the information. Take a listen to this. The wedding industry in the U.S. is expected to bring in over $70 billion this year. That's 6,000. Hold on. That's 6,000 weddings a day, More from Bree Tennis. Take a listen.
If you're getting married this year, it's going to cost you a little bit more than it did last year. The Knot.com says the average cost of a wedding with 100 guests in the U.S. is now $29,000. That's up $1,000 from last year. Wedding planning site Zola says 77% of vendors say they'll raise their rates this year, partly because of inflation, but mostly COVID. 3 years of isolation, and now everybody wants a party. And June is out. 43% of weddings this year will happen in the fall. The most popular day for a wedding in 2023 is Saturday, September 23rd. Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Okay, so there you go. September 23rd sounds like the miracle date on getting married. So if you want to do it, feel free. I mean, that's on you. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about some other stuff. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this day. Back in 1989, the Exxon Valdez tanker strikes a reef in Prince William Sound, and begins oozing disastrous quantities of oil. The accident caused by one of the most impactful man-made environmental disasters ever. The crude oil eventually covered more than 10,000 square miles of ocean. Exxon spent upwards of $3 billion to clean up the spill and settle civil disputes. That happened back in 1989. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, I got some of those for you. Lacey Evan turns 33. Tyler Leppy turns 36. Chris Bosch, 39. Jessica Chastain turns 46. Peyton Manning, 47. Allison Hannigan turns 49. Jim Parsons, yes, that Jim Parsons, they turn 50. The Undertaker, yes, Mark Callis turns 58 today. Jack Edwards, 66. Tommy Hilfiger, Tommy Hilfiger, the fashion designer, just in case, turned 72 today. So there you go. That's some birthdays. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those for you. It's National Cheesesteak Day. Not cheesecake, but cheesesteak day. National Cocktail Day. National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day. World Tuberculosis Day. And Flatmates Day. Yeah, Flatmates. That can mean so many different things as my brain starts going into some different things as we are talking. Let's talk about some Did You Know? A British designer has created a $2,500 pair of boots in form of a Teletubby. Christian Cowan's latest footwear are homage to Dipsy, the bright green character from the 90s children's show. The New York-based designer, who is known for his celeb clients, including Lady Gaga, Naomi Campbell, and Beyonce, recently posted a photo of the boots on Instagram, writing no caption necessary. Also available, a denim jacket in blaze with Poe. Yeah, for $595. A hoodie featuring Lala is going for $395. A white t-shirt, also with Twinkie Winky is going for $195. And a pair of wide leg jeans showing Dipsy for $495. If you have money to waste, I don't even know if I would consider it. I mean, I'm just saying, just some stuff to think about as we are talking. There is no doubt about that. Anyways, let me give you some whack facts real quick. In a day, your brain uses the amount of energy contained in 2 large bananas. A day on Venus is longer than its year. An elephant's tooth can weigh as much as 12 pounds. A study found that judges are more lenient after lunch. Approximately 1/3 of people can't snap their fingers. Oxford University discovered that someone prods one of your middle toes while your eyes are shut. Most people can't tell which one is being touched. So there you go. Some interesting knowledge there for you if you wanted to know. Anyways, if you are looking for a random joke today, just because I give advice, it doesn't mean that I'm smart. It just means that I'm done more stupid stuff. If you need something for a phone starter, try this. In what place are you not welcome anymore and why? Oh, how long can the list be? If you need something for the water cooler, try this. Question: chances are you will do this more than 18,000 times in your lifetime. What is it? It's exceed the speed limit. Yes, exceed the speed limit. Something tells me that some people will do that more than 18,000 times. I just have a roughy-uffy on that one. Anyways, thank you for taking a listen to what we have going on here on this Freeform Friday, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do this without you, the most important part, and that is the listener on Safety FM or Radio Big. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I'll be going over to Radio Big exclusively if you want to come and hang out, so you're more than welcome on doing that. Or stay on Safety FM and take a listen to what the hell's going on with Sheldon Primus and the Safety Consultant Show. With that being said, if I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. Happiness is a perfume you cannot pour on others without getting some on yourself. Think about that today, because that's going to be important. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
I don't play dice. I'll make a move on the board, it's precise. The fuck is the price? I took a fiddle and dick in the ice. I took a caller, now I'm on a flight. Crew heading east, got a booking tonight. First stop is Atlanta. I got breakfast plans at the Waffle House. Next up is Miami. I'm in South Beach. Fuck we talking about? Show out, we in Brooklyn. I'm on Flatbush and we rocking out. Then a red eye to Los Angeles. Got a rich bitch waiting on the couch.
Life's gonna try to hold you back. They gon' tell you that you still got time. Any minute this could all